share a bit from God's Word. By the way, this is not the turning of the crank time kind of part of the service. The goal is always that at the end of the service that there'll be something that you'll be able to take away with you, a challenge, a blessing, something that you'll be able to say it was good to be at church today, that I really gained something. And I want to really encourage all you moms out there. It is, as we said, it is not an easy job being a parent. I was never a mom. Okay, I was never a mom, so I'll put my hand up to that one. But being a parent, I know it is not an easy job, but I just want to honor you, and I want to hopefully help you a little bit this morning, and to kind of maybe even affirm what you're doing. Maybe for those who are on the younger side, Pete and Vicky and Tanisha, those at sort of that stage in life, maybe as a little bit of a, during the battles of having young ones, is to encourage you to remember that it is worth it. It is worth it. Everybody knows Moses, right? Moses, played by who? Charlton Heston, there we go, on the Ten Commandments. Who was Moses' mom? Oh dear. Now I'm not chastising. No, listen. Isn't it amazing that everyone knows Moses? But who is Moses' mother? Would there be a Moses if there wasn't a Moses' mom? No. We're going to come to that in just a little bit. I don't think as we come into this event in Exodus chapter 2 that she really knew God's plan for Moses. And Jochebed, everyone say that with me together, 1, 2, 3. Jochebed. She didn't have any idea, I don't think, to the extent of all that Moses was going to do. And what he did literally changed the history of not just that group of people, but the entire world. And can I say this to every mom that is out there and every grandma, that you know what, you never know what your little one, as they grow up, who they're going to be, what they're going to do, and particularly if you are a believer, if you are a follower of Jesus Christ, you have no idea what could be their story. Because God has used mothers throughout history. Every person has a mother. Not every person has a father. Does that seem strange? Okay. Every person has a mother, but not every person has a father. Well, almost every person has a father, or at least someone who is involved. Barring who? Who's the one missing out? Jesus, of course. And Jesus did have but that's a whole different story. We shall come there another time. So the incredible importance of mothers. So today, what we want to look at today is the challenge of a mother. The challenge of a mother. We're going to kind of walk through this particular passage, and I hope there'll be some things that you'll remember as we walk through it, and hopefully there'll be some things that will be new to you as well. So let's take first a look. By the way, there's papers back there to follow along if you've not gotten one. I only did about 10, though. I didn't know we'd have such a nice crowd this morning. So if you have to grab one, that'd be fantastic. The Bible says, let's just kind of look at this again. The Bible says in Exodus chapter 2, verses 1 and 2, we're going to look at, first of all, a little bit of the context here. The Bible says this, and a man of the house of Levi went and took as wife a daughter of Levi. So Levi was one of what they're often called tribes or groups of Jewish people. A lot of history there, but the point is, here was a bloke who married a woman. Simple as that. Verse 2. So the woman conceived and bore a son. And when she saw that he was a beautiful child, she hid him 3 months. We'll stop there for just a moment. Let's think about the context here. If you remember that infamous tale of the Ten Commandments and Charlton Heston and all that sort of thing, there is a leader there in Egypt, a Pharaoh, who was concerned that the number of Jewish people were growing so much that he feared. Do you remember what he was afraid of? He was afraid that they were growing so much in numbers that the Jewish lads were growing so many that they might partner up with the Egyptian enemies and overthrow them, which was quite common in those days. That's what could happen. He was afraid of that. So he told the Hebrew midwives, he said, here's what I want you to do. And I can't imagine being told this. He said, when you go to do the work of a midwife, if you see that the baby is a boy, I want you to kill him. The girls let alive because they could be servants and so forth and so on. And I can't imagine being told that. But this is what Pharaoh told these midwives. But the Bible then goes on to say that they did not, that they feared God, and then they put themselves at risk that they lied to Pharaoh. Can you imagine lying to Pharaoh? Pharaoh was the top of the heap. He was law. And they lied to him, saying that, the Jewish women are not like you Egyptian lot. He said, they're so strong, by the time we get there, the babies are already born, and there's nothing that we can do. So God honored them and actually said that gave them families of their own. So it was an awful situation, that here was Jochebed and her husband had this child. And the amazing thing about this is that the dad and mom, now the dad's name was, now points if you get the dad's name. Anyone know the dad's name by any chance? No? Okay. Amram is his name. Anyone would like to adopt that name? Amram? Okay, Amram. So it's Amram and wife's name? Jochebed. Well done. Amram and Jochebed. By the way, Jochebed actually means Jehovah or God is her glory. So there's something incredible about her as well. She had some kind of a spiritual history about her, and that actually means something about her own what? Mom and dad as well. That they took a faith and they passed on that down to her. And undoubtedly by this time, her mom and dad would have been very old and possibly not even alive. And they would have had no idea or very little idea what Moses, their grandbaby, was going to do. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? But Amram and Jochebed were just ordinary people. Ordinary people. They may have very well lived in Rosington at one time in their life. They may have well lived on Wimpy Estate or in West End Lane or over in the New Estate, whatever, or down near Little. They were just ordinary people who did ordinary stuff. But God took them and did extraordinary things through them. And here's what I like about it. And I love the fact that as the Bible puts this out, these are not all supermen and superwomen doing these great, amazing things, flying faster than the speeding bullet and beating trains and running through things. These are just ordinary people living ordinary lives, but being available for God to use. I think that's absolutely amazing. So what that tells me is that there is nothing that is different about Amram and Jochebed that was unique to them that couldn't be you or me as well. They're ordinary people. But here's this next little bit kind of blew me away. And we're going to talk about this for just a second. When they saw that Moses was now the word, depending on what Bible version you pick up, the word will change. Some versions, like the one that I'm reading now, says that he was a beautiful child. Okay, moms, dads even, when you picked up your child, did you say, "Oh, whew, that's an ugly child"? No, of course not. Because every baby's beautiful, absolutely. So, but here's the important thing is that there is a reason why that word is put in there. And it wasn't just some kind of parental sort of sentiment. And there's all kind of guesses as to why that word was in there. I mean, if you look at the different translations, it could mean that he was physically attractive in an unusual kind of way, that he was good, he was healthy. And of course, at that time, medicine and so forth was not near what it is now. And possibly he was just an incredibly healthy child, very active and all that sort of thing. Possibly Jochebed had some kind of sense that there was something special about him. So what'd she do? She hid him away. Why'd she hide him? Yeah, you want to keep him safe. That's what a mom does. You gather your children, you want to keep them safe because you love them. You love them. She hid him. She hid him. Now, we need to think about that for just a moment. Because remember we said about Pharaoh that he was sovereign power. Whatever Pharaoh said, that's what would happen. If he said, "I want all those boy babies killed," job done. If he said, "I want that ditch jug," job done. And that's who Pharaoh was. And can you imagine the fear that Jochebed and Amram must have lived in and day out, wondering if little Moses was going to be found out. Because why? What do babies do? Cry. Is that true, Tanisha? Yeah, of course, yeah. Okay, I'm just trying to, I didn't know if now in modern day children, I don't know if it's any different now, but okay, she's confirmed that babies are still babies and they cry. So they poo, they do wee, and they eat, and they cry. Those four things, pretty much. And if they did those, do you think Moses did those things as well? Can you imagine the work and the effort, how they worked it out to try and keep Moses as quiet as possible? I can't imagine. She knew the power of Pharaoh. She knew that if he was found out, that he could be taken and killed. How awful would that be? But not only that, and this is what I started to run in my mind. If Moses was found out and he was taken and killed, could they say, "Listen, you think you're playing this game with us? We'll just take your entire family as well." So Jochebed was not only risking Moses, she was risking her other children. She was risking the entire family as well. But Moses was her baby. And I can't imagine how all those moms who had to go through all that during those times, how they must have been feeling. I can't imagine that. I've got a little video I want to share with you. It's a little video. It's only about 30 seconds long, 45 seconds long. And all it is a little baby who was born with her eyes not really quite right, and she couldn't see properly. And so somehow they were able to diagnose exactly what the problem was. They gave her some glasses. And the little video was about how that she was able to see her mother clearly for the first time.
Miss Piper, 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 Piper. Piper, hi, sweetheart. Hello, sweetie. Hello. Oh my goodness, look at that little girl. Hello, Piper. Yeah, go ahead and get her attention. Hello, Piper. Hello. Easy, mommy. Hello. Hello.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Happy girl.
Look at you, you're so pretty. Oh, do you see me?
It does.
Wow. Oh.
seeing your mother clearly for the first time, and that how that mother must feel that finally her daughter can see her fully for the first time. Oh, I can imagine how difficult that must have been, and the risk that Jochebed put her family in. But the love of a mother is incredibly powerful. But then we come to a massive challenge here. We're going to look at now something we're going to call Jochebed's faith, verses 3 and 4. But when she could no longer hide him, she took an ark of bulrushes, daubed it with asphalt and pitch, put the child in it, and laid it in the reeds by the river's bank. And her sister stood afar off to know what would be done to him. So here's the reality of living in Egypt. At 3 months, she said, I cannot hide him any longer. We don't know what all the details are, but at 3 months, possibly his crying was not just the small little teeny tiny infant cry anymore, but it got a little bit more, if you know what I mean. And if we've been there, you understand that. She was thinking possibly word could get out. Because the reality is, isn't it true that someone, particularly in that time, that someone's always looking to get in good with the authorities? And she was thinking, what if my neighbor is thinking, listen, I could get me a better place in life. I could be looked on good by Pharaoh and the Egyptians, okay? And that I wouldn't have to be, I could maybe be a boss over the slaves. And I wouldn't have to be in the mud pits anymore myself. And maybe this is what she was thinking, and she was worried. It's possibly that Pharaoh started to step up patrols and were searching homes even more. If you've ever seen the story, if you've ever seen the video of Corrie ten Boom and The Hiding Place, highly recommend. If you've never heard of her name before, it's basically a family that lived in an area where the Germans had come, one of the first places, and her father had wanted to hide Jews because they loved the Jewish people. And so they built a place in their house to hide them. And this is during the time of the Third Reich and the Gestapo, and there was fear for everyone of all that was happening there. And so they were hiding the Jews. And this is exactly what happened to Corrie and her family. That someone found out they were doing this and told the Gestapo, which led to her entire family being taken to the concentration camps. And Corrie was the only one who was left by the end of the war. What a tragic, tragic story. But this is the kind of thing that Jochebed was living through. This is the kind of thing that undoubtedly that she was worried about, that someone would hear Moses, someone would go and tell the government, someone would go and tell Pharaoh, and that he would be taken. So then she makes a steps of surrender. And moms, I'm going to ask you to listen really carefully now, because I want you to try, and as best you can, put yourself in Jochebed's shoes or her sandals. Because then it says that she took some materials, some reeds, and fashioned this. And isn't it interesting? What do you call that little thing that you can buy that you put your baby in? Moses basket. Isn't that interesting? And where do you get that from? This story right here, okay? That's where you get that from. So, Tanisha, you can actually tell your friends now, and I've learned something. Yeah, there we go, okay? Pub quiz answer, right? There you go. And so she fashioned this, she made this thing, and the Bible says it, but asphalt and pitch, and it's not the asphalt that you get on the roads, and she didn't have a big roller thing, but some of that tar that would be around that. Why? To make it watertight. Yeah, to make it watertight. Because that was her plan, to go out and put this on the water, and she had to say, I'm surrendering my child over to God. I'm handing my child over to God. She's saying there's nothing more I could do. And can you imagine the potential what are the potential dangers, do you think? Help me out with that. Just kind of shout out. What do you think of potential, Chris, what?
It could sink.
Could sink?
Even though it's
Even though there was pitch, it could sink. Absolutely. What else? Crocodiles. Rosie, what else? It could break. It could break. Anything else?
It could drown.
Could drown. The soldiers could find the baby. But can you imagine, what if, and then this did happen, but it's interesting. What would she be thinking? What if Moses is found? What if he's found even by Pharaoh and grows up in the enemy's household? The ones who are treating us as slaves, growing up as... Now, for the mother who loves a child, I think it comes down to what's the least worst? What's the least worst? So as she made this, the very first Moses basket, put the tar around it, and I can imagine how difficult it may have been as she took that down to the water and laid that basket in the water. I'm sure there must have been a prayer that said, God, I'm now going to surrender Moses over to you. And moms, listen, please, listen. Can I recommend that is the best thing that you could ever do in 2021? Because really, you have the same job as Jochebed did back with Moses. Now, I realize, thankfully, you don't have the danger, but you surrendering and giving your children over to God, teaching them, guiding them, is one of the most important things you could do. In the past, we've done a talk from Psalm 127. I won't go there, but the talk is like this. It uses an arrow as an illustration, and I love it. I love it. It says, as arrows are for the hunter, as in a quiver, so are the children. And the idea is that as a parent, as a mother, your job is to build that arrow. And what is the function, what is the job of an arrow? Is it to stay in the quiver? It is not the job of an arrow to stay in the quiver. The job of an arrow is to be put in the bow and to be released. But that arrow has a tip to it, but even more importantly, it has those bits on the end. And do you know what the name of it is? The feathery bits on the backside. What is it called? Do you know? No, it's called the fletching. It's called the fletching. And they are to guide the arrow to its destination. And moms, your job, part of your job, is to build that fletching into that arrow so that it has the best chance at arriving at the target as it can. And that's exactly what Jochebed did. That she released Moses over to God, entrusting God with Moses, despite all the dangers, despite all the potential difficulties that are out there. And that's what she did. But then, a very interesting little comment, and what happens then is that faith meets practicality. Because what did she do? She just didn't sit it out there and say, there we go. What happened? There was Moses' sister stood there with the binoculars on, watching what was going off. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? His sister stood afar off to know what would be done to him. And then we're going to do this last little section, and we're going to call this Faith's Reward. Faith's Reward, verses 5 through 10. Then the daughter of Pharaoh came down to bathe in the river, and her maidens walked along the river, child, and behold, the baby wept. Well, that makes sense, doesn't it? This is one of the Hebrews' children. And I love the fact that she didn't say, oh, chuck him into the river. But as a woman, I think God has given women a special love and compassion for children that I can't drudge up. Okay? Now the number, I can guarantee you, if we walk out there, and Lisa, this is what Lisa does. This is who she is. We're walking down the street, right? And here comes a young mom with a baby. It could be Tanisha. And, isn't she cute? Now, I would never say that, okay? I would never say that. And her heart just melts over every baby that walks through any door that she sees, okay? That's just who Lisa is. And God just has given Lisa that kind of a heart. I mean, I love our children, and I appreciate any child, but it's, it's different. It's different. And I think when Pharaoh's daughter saw Moses, that her heart went out to this young child that was in this Moses basket. And even though he was one of the Hebrews' children, she loved him. And there's something incredible that happened. Notice what happened in verse 7. Oh, let me make a quick comment first. There was Pharaoh's daughter. She was there at the right time, at the right place, and she was the right person. She was a key element. She was a key person in this story as well. And then there was Miriam, Moses' sister. And, in many ways that Moses had the role. He did what he did to a large part because of Miriam's job as well. What an amazing thing. And she said this in verse 7. She says, "Shall I go and call a nurse for you from the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for you?" Well, that makes sense. She said, oh, surprise, there's a baby. Do you want me to go and find someone to take care of this? Because you got far too many things. You got to keep up with Twitter, and you got to keep up with Facebook, and you've got news conferences and all these kind of things. You got far too many things to do. Do you want to go find someone to take care of this baby? No, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. And who does Miriam get? Only God could do this thing. This is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I know you moms are going to be jealous. I know that. We got to keep reading to get the full story. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, "Go." So the maiden went and called the child's mother, Jochebed. And when Pharaoh's daughter said to her, so Jochebed comes in the presence of Moses, in the presence of Pharaoh's daughter. Pharaoh's daughter said to him, "Take this child away and nurse him for me, and I will give you your wages." It's the only time that I'm aware of in the history of the world that a mom has been paid dosh to be a mom. Isn't that cool? Anybody jealous out there? Jealousy's a sin. You realize that, Audrey, okay? Isn't that amazing? So here is this divine appointment. Okay, this is the last little bit. This is divine appointment. Miriam suggested to Pharaoh's daughter, "Do you want me to go get somebody?" Okay, fetch him round. Jochebed was brought. She was paid to look after her own son. What an amazing thing. The child grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. Now, it must have been tough. Now, here's the debate. How old was Moses when he was fetched back? There's guesses all over the place. But everyone says it's past the time. How long is it till you can start to eat solid food? I forgot. Moms, help me out. What? Yeah, solid-ish kind of food. 9-10 months, is that okay? Yeah, sometimes a bit later, okay. Now undoubtedly Pharaoh's daughter, because she's got Twitter and Facebook and all, could she be bothered with all that mothery early? Nah, she couldn't be bothered with that. She wants the time when she could interact with the child. So possibly, and then there's all kinds of guesses that Moses would have been 4, 5, 6, 7 years before he was fetched back to Pharaoh's house. So moms, you know what? those first years, I'm convinced that Jochebed knew God has given me back this child. Not only is he protected, he is provided for, and I have the opportunity to teach him all about who God is. And she's being paid to do it. Awesome. And it's during those first early years that she was able to instill in Moses a love for people and even a sensitivity toward God. Now, there's lots of stuff that he has to learn later on. But mums and grandmas, please, and now you probably know this already, but we just need to say it just to reiterate it, that those early years are so important. You may say, Eric, well, my kids are growing up, okay, but maybe it's your grandkids then, that you would have an opportunity to influence in those early years. A role as mom is second important to nothing. Did you hear what I said? Your role as mom is second important to nothing. We have one chance when they're 2 and 3 and 4, and after they're 2 and 3 and 4, you can't wind the clock back, can you? You have one chance. Grab it. If you have to say, well, we can't go on 2 or 3 holidays, we can't do that. Fine. And I'm so thankful that Lisa was able to stop at home and be with the kids, and I'm so thankful for that. And I realize some can't. But we just need to grab and hold on to the idea that those kids are so incredibly important. And moms, as I said, you have that incredibly important job, second important to none. I found a little poem that I want to read you to finish up today. I've heard the phrase, who's ever heard this phrase? That the hand that rocks the cradle, what's the next bit? Rules the world. Yeah, you've heard that bit. I thought, where did that come from? I found the poem that this comes from. Let me read you the whole thing. It is amazing. Listen up. Blessings on the hand of women. Angels guard its strength and grace. In the palace, cottage, or hovel. So it doesn't matter what your station is in life. It doesn't matter. Oh, no matter where the place, would that never storms assailed it, rainbows ever gently curled, for the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. Infancy's the tender fountain, power may with beauty flow. Mothers first to guide the streamlets, from them souls unresting grow. Grow on for the good or evil, sunshine streamed or evil hurled, for the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. Women, know how divine your mission. Here upon our natal sod, keep the young heart open, always to the breath of God. All true trophies of the ages are from mother love impearled, for the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. Blessings on the hand of women, fathers, sons, and daughters cry. And the sacred songs mingled with the worship in the sky, mingles where no tempest darkens, rainbows evermore are hurled, for the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world.